neighborhood. What's the situation this morning, Brent?
Yeah, Allison, Americans are waking up and realizing that really now there are massive closures all across the country. States and the cities within them are taking more and more aggressive action by the day. Here in New York, the governor says there is no shutdown or shelter in place for a particular city in the state, especially New York City, on the table at this point. But we know the cases, they continue to rise, those numbers. This, as the top infectious disease doctor says, it could be several weeks before we know if all of these closures has an impact.
As businesses continue to close in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, many Americans are looking for help.
The unemployment requests, first-time requests for benefits that are coming in literally this week as we sit here are overwhelming.
The White House promising they're working on a solution which could include sending checks to people who need it.
Americans need cash now, and the president wants to get cash now. And I mean now, in the next 2 weeks.
Overnight, the Office of Management and Budget asking Congress for $45.8 billion in emergency funding. The same day, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin announced this stimulus plan.
We've put a proposal on the table that would inject $1 trillion into the economy.
The streets of San Francisco nearly deserted, with about 8 million Northern Californians being asked to shelter in place. And for the more than 6 million children who attend California's public schools, the governor giving this harsh reality.
I would plan and assume that it's unlikely that many of these schools, few if any, will open before the summer break.
In New York City, the mayor warning drastic measures could be coming there as well.
I think New Yorkers should be prepared right now for the possibility of a shelter-in-place order.
New York's governor says that can't be done without his approval, suggesting the focus should be on making sure the state's healthcare system has enough resources.
That's why I went to President Trump and said, look, I'll work to flatten the curve. We need the Army Corps of Engineers in here. We need FEMA in here. I need extra medical equipment. And we can only do that if we work together.
For now, President Trump hoping to avoid a national shutdown.
We think of everything. It's a very big step. It's something we talk about, but we haven't decided to do that.
Hotel chains like Marriott and MGM Resorts beginning to furlough employees. And with airports nearly empty, airlines like United reducing even more flights and asking for a $50 billion bailout.
This is worse than 9/11. For the airline industry, this is, they are almost ground to a halt.
Shoppers still overloading stores to stock up on supplies. The FDA asking Americans to only purchase what they need for the upcoming week. The nation's top infectious disease doctor issuing this plea to young Americans.
Don't get the attitude, well, I'm young, I'm invulnerable. We can't do this without the young people cooperating. Please cooperate with us.
And that's a big concern. Are people taking this seriously? Not just in areas where there's a large number of cases, but across the country. You know, just across the river in Hoboken, the mayor there last night putting in place for its residents a self-isolating policy, which was described to me as a little less restrictive than what we're seeing in Northern California. But they said at the root of this, it's really just to change the mindset of people about this pandemic.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's confusing. Self-isolating, shelter in place. People are just still trying to get their minds around what all of this means, Brent. Thank you very much. There was this stunning warning from the Treasury